there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. The Bodfather.
Man, this stuff rocks.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
This is John from Incantation.
And this is Chuck from Incantation. And you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bodfather, and as always, I bring you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome death metal icons Incantation, and they will release their 13th album entitled Unholy Deification on August 25th via Relapse Records. And check out singles Concordat, the Pact 1, Homunculus, Spirit Made Flesh, and Invocation, Chthonic Merge. And on the podcast with me today, I have John and Chuck from the mighty Incantation. So, guys, welcome to the podcast. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Not a problem whatsoever. I'm very excited about this. When you guys think about the band having 3+ decades of experience, what one word comes to mind about this when you think of that?
One word. Damn.
Endurance.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty crazy to think that we've been doing it this long, but it's awesome that we are doing it. I mean, we have done it for a long time, and the great thing about it is we really enjoy doing it still. So it's totally awesome, and things are really better than they have ever been in the band. So it's really killer. We're really fortunate.
Yeah, it's been a wild journey, ups and downs, goods, bads, and everything in between. But I wouldn't have it any other way. And come what may.
So I want to know this: 13th album is out right now. You've been doing this forever, but I know some bands they finally hit their stride after maybe 9-10 albums. Do you think this band has hit their stride, or are you guys still scratching that surface of going outside that box and still trying to find that Incantation sound?
I don't know. I think we've established ourselves, as far as our sound goes. We always feel like we, have a reason to release new stuff, and we still feel inspired and everything. So that's what's most important, is that if you're uninspired, there's no reason to bother doing it, but we all really have a good time, writing with each other. So just, like hanging out and everything. So the whole vibe of being in a band with the guys is just awesome. And it's just inspiring when somebody comes up with something super cool. It just kind of triggers everybody, and everybody kind of just, gets in the writing mode. It's a great thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think at this given moment, the chemistry and everybody involved, it's, as I said before, come what may. Now it feels like a fresh start.
How special is it, guys, to have this new album in the Incantation music library and still be able to carry on with your music? Just like John said, you guys are still pumping out music, but how special is it to have this one in the can for you all?
Even more than normal, to be honest. This one, it feels like there's a new life breathed into the band, especially like having the advent of Luke involved with us and everything now. It really is, it's a joy to work with him, and it definitely is bringing both like studio and stage qualities that are, this album in particular is going to be a real crowning moment, at least in my eyes, the way that we work together and everything, and having his involvement certainly has made an impact. So, 13th album, almost feels like the first in a way,
Yeah, I think it's a special album. I mean, I know everybody always says their new album is, their best stuff or whatever. And I'm not here to tell anybody what should be their best stuff or not their best stuff. I just know that I really like the way the new album came out. I think production wise, it really works with our sound, and it was something that we were really looking for. We finally kind of really, I just think I just really happy with the way everything came out. I really like the songs. I like the expression. I like everybody's contribution to the album. So for myself, it's something really special, and it's good to feel that way about the new album, and not just force it to feel that way, but honestly feel really good and confident about it.
Did this album turn out exactly the way you guys wanted it to, or did you leave this little bit on the table?
It actually exceeded my expectations, to be honest. You have a general forthwith attitude when writing, whether it be musically, lyrically, or however you want to put your efforts. But when everything finally came into play, and the way that the production is, that really adds all of our elements and then some. I couldn't be happier with it.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with the production. I mean, I didn't really know 100%, how it was going to come out, or, you never know 100%. I know what feels right and what sounds good, but when it comes to production wise, it's always kind of a little bit of a crapshoot, because, the Dan Swano, who did the mixing, he sometimes, just comes from, he just has a different perspective on the way the album should sound and stuff like that. But I think this time it worked out really well, because right around the time he was just starting to mix the album, he was able to make it out to one of our shows, and he really seen the energy and the power of the live show. And I think it helped inspire him to get a mix that was closer to that, close to a live show sound than, over studio. I don't know what you want to say, like an over studio production kind of thing. It was just great, because he was able to make the production really good, but also have that raw kind of barbaric edge to it that really our sound benefits from, for sure.
Do you both feel like this new album, or any of Incantation albums, have to come out stronger than one or the other, possibly, or no?
I don't think that's a forthwith attitude, to be honest. Yeah, we're pleased when there is a success, obviously, but it's more or less for our own part. When creating it, we still have the same formula that we apply to each one respectively, and it's not for us to judge whether one is better than the other. We're just happy with it at that given moment.
Sure.
Yeah, I think Chuck's definitely correct. We're not writing stuff in a crowd pleasing way. We're writing stuff as a band and personal self expression in the music. So it's like we do it, and then if it does well, that's great. And of course, it means more to us, because we're writing for ourselves and having people like it, instead of trying to be a crowd pleaser. It'd be a lot easier if we're trying to be crowd pleasers. But as far as us, it's about writing music, and being creative. And, the fact of people liking it or not liking it is not something that we can control. All we control is, us knowing that we put down something honest on our album.
And you have to stand by your music, man. You got to be happy with the product that you put out there and stand by. You have to do that.
Yeah,
sure. I think we wouldn't do it at all.
That's a thing that all metal bands, and really any kind of music, especially metal bands, should be about enjoying it yourself. And I guess the way I look at it is, I enjoy what we do, and the guys in the band enjoy what we do. And if people like it, it's like an added bonus. But if not, at least we know that we did stuff that we liked. So, you can't, for us at least, if we were to put people's opinions too much into consideration while writing, it would water down what we do. If we were just trying to worry about, is it people going to like this part, they're going to like that. It's like, I can't worry about that. It's like, if I believe in it and the guys in the band believe in it, that's what's important, then we can stand behind it.
Catering to the world in which we live right now, especially with the advent of the internet and everything, that you can either do no wrong, or everything you do is crap. And, you know, with that kind of like binary way of thinking and stuff, if we were trying to accommodate to that, we would never get anywhere. It's impossible. You know, people's opinions get thrown all the time. People troll all the time. That's why we got a term for it. You know, like you can't. You just have to be honest to yourself and to, you know, to your bandmates and to the nature of the product and the nature of the band, and carry on.
You know, I know you guys have been doing this for a very long time, but with this album, what's that growth musically you've seen from yourselves working on this album that impresses you both the most, if anything, as a band?
The writing. The writing is just, it's fluid. And I haven't had an experience in this kind of writing capacity since the Vanquish and Vengeance days, to where like we just were all on the same exact mindset that, you know, one particular riff or an idea gets presented and it just flowed. And I know that I probably mentioned this before in other interviews, but it's necessary to mention it, is that you know, we created the song Invocation in a matter of minutes. It was us sitting at a table with a couple random ideas, and it developed so quickly, so fast. And you can feel the energy when you're doing something like that, because that one particular riff starts to shine out and somebody goes, ooh, 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 you know, like do this, do that, do this. And then, ooh, I got an idea for that. And then it's done. Like that kind of stuff hasn't happened in quite a while. And yeah, I'm very happy in particular with this release for that very reason.
Yeah. Having that kind of, musical connection and just you know, have everybody in the band kind of firing on all cylinders is just an awesome situation to be around, you know. And that's the thing, is like when you're having so much fun writing the stuff, and you know, we know that the stuff is heavy and sick and, you know, good or whatever, and yeah, it's a great feeling, and you don't really care what people are going to think, you know. It's like, yeah, if people like it, that's cool, but we had a sure of a fun time doing it, you know. And that's like, you know, that's the part we can control, is we can control ourselves, what we do, you know, put it in our standards or whatever, and have it come across as our opinions or whatever, or feelings in the music and stuff. And yeah, everything else is just like you throw it up in the air and see what happens. But you know, even if the album was to fail, it's like, well, we still had a great time doing it, and we would still look at it as a great moment in our musical career. And you know, those are the things you can control, and you could, you know, that's important. You know, you can't worry about, you know, what the peanut gallery says. I mean, there's people out there that are gonna complain and whine that it doesn't sound exactly like the old stuff, or other people that complain it sounds too much like the old stuff, or, you know, there's always something. They're going to say it's too fast, it's too slow, it's whatever, you know. So you can't worry about that stuff at all.
I like it what Chuck said, man. This is like you're lightning in a bottle. When you know it, you know it. It's there, it's there. You just, there's no mistake in it, man.
Simply put. Yeah, simply put. Yeah.
How did the band approach this album when you first started writing and getting ideas for it? How did the ball get rolling, guys?
It basically was an answer to the last album, which we do on every album. So as soon as I finished tracking the album, I really felt that Vanquish and Vengeance was missing a little bit of the raw brutality in the sound and the songs and stuff. So
you mean Sect of Vile Divinities?
I'm sorry. Yes. What'd I say?
You said Vanquish. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
No, you're good.
Yeah, and Sect of Vile Divinities. I just felt like there was something missing there. So I immediately started writing some stuff, and it just naturally came out more aggressive than, you know, the sex stuff, which was just something I felt personally I needed to express. So that was kind of like, we'll say, the starting point, you know, of the whole thing. And then everything else just kind of fell together really naturally. I mean, Chuck could kind of elaborate more on it.
So I think that the one of the first songs, or at least one of the two of the first songs that were presented, was Offerings and the Chalice. And the Chalice in particular, I was really fond of because of how aggressive and how unrelenting it was, all the changes and the structures of the riffs and everything, that it really set the stage for how we were going to carry on from that point forward. And it certainly was a song that reminded me actually of John's more Revenant era. where it was just like a fire. You know what I mean? Like a real strong approach to the writing, and that was something that we just carried on with as like a moniker for the rest of it.
Yeah, it just, personally, I just felt extremely, inspired to really push myself hard to come up with something that was just, just super aggressive. I just wanted to set, a standard, or like a premise or whatever for the next album, that, just everybody just kind of go for it, really hard. And, it was, it worked out really great. I mean, everybody's contribution really brought things to an amazing point. I mean, all the songs were really good, from kind of, we'll say, from the early stages. But once we really added everyone's parts to it and everyone contributed to it, the stuff really came alive. And that's just an awesome thing. It's awesome to be able to play with people. I know I keep saying that, but it's awesome to play with people that could take something, a basic idea, and once everyone's inputs in there, bring it to something extra special. It's super cool.
It's that chemistry over the years. I mean, you've got the right pieces with this band. That's simple, plain fact.
Well, yeah. I mean, Chuck, myself, and Kyle have been playing with each other now for a long time. Yeah. And then to have Luke, who was our touring bass player when Chuck couldn't tour, he's been with us for about 5-6 years too. So when he joined the band, it just was like a natural progression where, he already like got the vibe of the whole band, and he just had to like apply himself a little bit, and it just like worked fucking flawlessly. So it's great to have like Kyle, myself, and Chuck's, core work writing, working together, writing stuff, feeling really comfortable, then having somebody else come in on top and really integrate into that process flawlessly, I guess. It was just a great thing because, all three of us could be on the same page, and you get one person that's not on the same page, and it could really screw up the finished product. But because Luke was so awesome in the situation and worked with us so well and just came up with amazing stuff, it took all the ideas and put them up to a higher level, because it's one of those things like we're stronger all together using everybody's talent and inspiration than we are alone.
Did the band add anything differently on this album musically than what fans are accustomed to hearing from Incantation, or no?
A couple of things, actually. Somebody brought this up, and I had actually forgot that it even was part of it, was the intro to Megaron, which actually is the first writing contribution of Luke's, actually. So take note of that song in particular. It's a holy incantation song, but it is definitely in a unique approach that is quintessentially Luke. The intro, though, that was something different. Somebody said, "Do you actually have piano in there?" And I'm like, "We do." I forgot all about that. So that was probably the first time that ever happened. Second would be having the multi-layered gang vocal portion over the chant in the circle. That was something new. Also, all of the vocal layering that John does throughout the course of this album is something wholly unique to this album in particular. I don't recall that process ever done before. And the effect is, it's staggering. It sounds great.
Yeah, you pretty much, I guess that's right. I kind of forgot about almost all that stuff. So you're right. There are some differences to the album. Some new things, we'll say. Mm-hmm. But you always want to get new techniques and try different things. I mean, that's part of, growing as a person, and just, you just say, okay, let's just try this way. See if this way of doing thing works or something like that. Like with the vocals or whatever, I was just doing multiple takes, and I was like, oh, well, it sounds pretty cool if we just take maybe 2 of these takes and try to, like stereo them together or something like that. It's still the same thing pretty much doing, but just having that stereo vibe to it, it really helps out a lot, I think.
What led the track Concordat to be the first song released off this album, guys? What was it about that song that you said, I know you got other bangers on here, but what was it about that one that you said, that's got to go out first?
I liked the idea that it was actually the first chapter of the concept that is of the album. That is the one where the individual that is working in an apotheosis to become a god, that's the moment where he has like an epiphany, essentially, of like he no longer wants to live off of like faith and belief and ethics and wants to transcend like organic life into becoming a celestial, something that's like worshipped and feared and sacrificed to. So by him summoning a spiritual guide and bleeding along with the blood of this, spectral entity, they create a double helix, being the, building blocks DNA, and that is the moment in which that is going to be the God that he encompasses, which you actually see on the album cover. So that song conceptually was a great choice for being the first, but it also is a very diverse song, musically speaking. You have your mid-pace, you have your fast, you have like even a good accent to that double vocaling is also at the end of that song as well, like adding a new element as well, to the way that we approach this album. And I thought it was a great way to start things off.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at it more, what songs on the album could, be properly properly live in as a single kind of thing, because the album was written as a whole. Each album is really written as a whole thing, so you're not really looking at individual. It's not like an individual collage of songs. It's a whole concept, a whole landscape or whatever. So picking out one song never really gives the full picture of the album, or the proper picture, I would say, in my opinion. But I just, personally, I just thought the album had a good punch to it, and it just seemed like, if we had to pick a standalone song, that could be one that really sets at least the stage for, kind of what's on the album-ish. It really, all three songs that got released together all do a pretty good job of painting a picture of what the album is. And that was when we picked all three. We tried to figure out what would be the best way, because you want to give people that don't know the band well something to kind of go by, because the people that know us really well kind of know that, okay, the full album is, it's going to be very diverse, but you want to do something that casual fans or just people that might be hearing this for the first time could kind of get into and kind of understand a little bit of our vibe.
Was there a track for the album that totally ended up sounding different than what it was intended to? Was there one that kept changing for this album, or no?
Not this time around. I mean, I know that we changed Convulse a couple times, but they were still just minimal changes. It was not an overhaul. Like I'd said that to another journalist at one point too during the course of this, was that it was so fluid in our writing that there was never any like backtracking. There was never any backpedaling or like overhauling and rewriting entire songs or like the editing was very minimal.
Yeah.
Very minimal.
Yeah, it was nice. Everything was almost like how we felt it should be in its original state. It just was like expanded upon, but it was a lot of the stuff was came together pretty easy and quick. It was because there has been times when like we would just be like, something's just wrong. We have to like tear apart the whole thing and restructure it. But this time, everything really fell together very, very comfortably. It wasn't even really, it was so comfortable we didn't really think about it. It was just like, you just know when it's right and you just go with it. And you're like, oh, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah. Any track standing out more to the both of you than any right now on this album? I know these are your babies. I understand that completely. But is there any that are standing out for the both of you possibly?
Sure.
Well, I mean, like mentioning before earlier about the song that we had compiled so quickly, that was Invocation, and that one does stand out to me a lot. It reminds me very much of a writing session we had when we were doing the album Vanquish and Vengeance. The song Vanquish and Vengeance was such a collective effort that it was something that I'll never forget, like that song especially in particular. And now I have it again renewed in this Invocation song, where we will always, or at least I will always remember it as that time just sitting in a like a little circle, writing it in lightning speed. And whether people, like it or dislike it, or it ends up being like, the most popular song, I can only remember it as that moment of being in like Kyle's basement and writing that. And it's just, those kind of moments are things that definitely stood out. So that song in particular, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really difficult to pick out a standout moment, but yeah, definitely Invocation, because of our overall connection, of writing it and just vibing together was great. And I'm always really happy when, I hear people, come up with other stuff that fits into, our sound and stuff. So like a song like Megaron is really cool for me because it's, Luke's contribution, and it was able to fit in on the album just perfectly, which, I just think is an awesome thing that, to be able to work with somebody that, just kicks ass like that, I guess, so that's a great moment. But I don't really have like a necessary, favorite, because like I told you before, the album's kind of a full thing. So it's a full landscape. So it's kind of like all the parts are necessary for me, like to, it's an expression of the whole album's one expression, or like one story or whatever, like just like the lyrics are, the music is too, so it's hard for me to pick out.
Is the set list for the live shows getting easier to pick the songs, and is there any other songs that's not been played you want to get in the set list possibly soon?
It's tough. Always tough to come up with a set list when you have so much material. Yeah. I mean, there's numerous songs, throughout the discography that would be great to add to the set that there just isn't time for, because usually you have like anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour, maybe hour 10 max. So, you get to throw in a couple of like, say interesting songs that like you don't play out too much. You get to throw a couple of those in, and the set's almost already done, because, you want to play a couple off the current album, the new album you're supporting, play a couple of the ones that kind of people want to hear every time. And then by then you only have, 2, 3, 4 other songs to choose from. And it's really difficult to figure out which ones to do. That's why we purposely try to mix up the set. So each time people come to see us, they won't see the same exact set each time. And I think that's important, because, we have a lot of songs that people want to hear, and we want to play it for them. And, we're not just going with the easy route of just getting one set for the album, the album tour or whatever that we're doing, and play it for the next like 2.5 years or whatever, and have no deviation. We feel that people that come to our show deserve to get a surprise at the show, something different, or maybe hear a song they really like that they weren't expecting to hear. Those are important moments. And for me, I mean, I know as a fan, I like it when bands don't just play the same set every single time. I mean, a lot of bands will play the same exact set every single tour cycle, except just change out the new songs. And it's just like, come on, you have to have other songs that are good enough to put in the set list, especially if they're a legacy type band,
Sure. Yeah, man, the album artwork is awesome for this, and the guy who did this has done a ton of album artwork. Eliran Kantor, who's done Immolation, Creator, Cavalier, and more. How was working with him on this, and did he get exactly what you all were looking for?
I've been working in tandem with him since Dirges of Elysium, and at first I would give him like maybe like 2 elements of like the album. Granted, most of these albums weren't concepts. This is the first time we've actually done a full-fledged concept album, so it was a little bit easier because in previous albums, like say Profane Nexus or Sect of Vile Divinities, every single song is its own story. So it has the beginning, middle, end. So you have the potential of 10 elements per album. So how many elements do you add to the cover? Well, it started getting overwhelming. And with this one in particular being a single story, that it gave him the ability to focus on that one particular, entity in which you see on the cover. And I just have to commend his patience and prowess with it, because we would come back to him for like perhaps more detail or to accent, one element or another. And even by the end of things, we actually like flipped it around at one point. And, that's the nature of being an artist. He saw the flow of the piece and knew what was best for it, above and beyond our own, experience with it. And he did an amazing job. It's intended to be abstract. Like, how do you visualize a new god? Like, what is that? You know what I mean? So I commend him for able to translate what we had, given to him story-wise into an image that, we're all happy with. So, yeah, he's an excellent artist.
We're going to get to know just you guys personally, just you two only. We're going to throw Incantation out the door here for just 1 minute. If you could write an album equivalent to your favorite band's album, which album would that be? What album would you want to write that you wish you'd wrote, possibly, or equivalent to?
Fuck.
Yeah, that's a really tough question.
Oh, man.
Everybody's like, that's the burner right there. That's the go-to.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of albums you guys love.
Picking one is
yeah,
tough.
that's where it starts. Like, I'm. Sorry about that. I'm like literally Rolodexing like 10 and 15 albums in my head right now, going like, that would have been cool to write. That would have been cool to write. But like,
yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's impossible to say one, but I'm just going to go with, Possess Seven Churches. I mean, that's a classic. But there's really like, probably 50, 100 albums that I wish I wrote, because, you listen to it and you're just like, when you hear some band's talent and the way that they create stuff, or their innovation, or just because it just kicks ass, it's all inspiring to listen to and stuff,
What's been your most memorable show that the band has been a part of that you still can't believe that you're part of to this day?
Man, you're really going for it. Eek. I mean, I have so many great memories of, large and small shows. I mean, even memories of like, shows where like nobody showed up. Like I liked those too, to pinpoint one, as opposed to like crowd reactions or, the amount of dedication from the folks. Like it's really, oh man. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's like impossible to say.
So many shows are just it's like the albums, man. What are you asking here?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have like too many awesome shows that we played is a good thing.
Yeah.
But to pick one over another, man, I don't know if I could really do that, because
it makes it as like you're like, condemning the other ones for not being as awesome as that one, but it's not the case. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I like them all, and like, for me to just start singling them out, it's gonna be like, well, you remember that show in, Poland? You didn't like that, something like that. And it's like, no, it's not what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, every time I get on stage with the guys, it's an awesome show, an awesome moment. So it's like almost like the show that we're playing at the moment is my favorite, so it's really difficult to say. And I'm going to have to weasel out on the answer to that, because I
right.
can't.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
I plead the fifth.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, guys, when this is all said and done, do you want to walk away, or do you want Incantation to still carry on with different members? Because I've seen some bands say, no, we want it to be done. We want to carry on. I know Kiss wants to carry on, but no, don't do it. But I'm just asking, do you want this to continue or just end?
So I could actually speak for this, because if John was ever to say, like, I'm done, I am not carrying on anything. It's like, I mean, this is now going to like a personal opinion thing too, is like, you know, death, right? Chuck Schuldiner passes away. It's over.
Right.
You don't see people trying to revitalize Motorhead, thank goodness. But like, would you do that? You know, like, that's not cool. I would not want to be involved with something without John's involvement. It's he started it from the ground up. We've been all very fortunate to make it our own together as a unit, but that does not mean that that I'm going to take the reins or have somebody else take the reins. That would just be horrible.
It's a difficult situation, because I mean, as you know, doing the band, you know, I definitely would want the music and legacy to live on past me, for sure, you know. So I can't say that I'm like 100% against it, but it would just like, I would want the right people to, you know, do the right kind of, say, dedication, or the right kind of, you know, whatever you want to say, you know. It just, it can't be like, you know, just somebody wanting to do it. It have to be done the right way. I mean, I think I've even, you know, spoke with Kyle. I even spoke with Kyle at one point and told him, like, you know, if anyone tries to do like a, you know, if I like die or something, anyone tries to do a Incantation kind of thing, like any ex-band members or anything like that, I said, you know, I really would want Kyle to be the one to, you know, vet people out and make sure that the people that are doing it for the right reasons, and do it with, you know, honor and stuff, and not just, you know, trying to milk it out or something like that. Because, but, you know, I mean, as creating the band and stuff like that, like, I'd hate to see it end, but I mean, if it doesn't work without me, then it doesn't work without me then, you know. I mean, I can't really, it's hard for me to say, you know, but I wouldn't be annoyed if, you know, Chuck and Kyle still wanted to, you know, continue the band, as long as they didn't like turn into something really lame or whatever.
All right, folks, you want to get out and check out Incantation. They're going to release their 13th album entitled Unholy Deification. Said it right that time, guys. On August 25th via Relapse Records. And you definitely want to give this band a fair shot. So, Chuck and John, how can folks stay in touch with Incantation, buy this record, buy everything under the sun of Incantation, and keep up with you all? How can they do that?
Well, we could have the incantation.com, and then the social media stuff, you know, like Facebook, Instagram, even Twitter and stuff, you know. So you can kind of keep up to date that way, and, you know, come out to our shows and, you know, really look forward to, you know, crushing your skulls live, you know.
Couldn't have said it better.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out and check out Incantation. Like I said, they're going to release their 13th album entitled Unholy Deification on August 25th via Relapse Records. Give this band a fair shot, because they got some really good stuff out there. Please get out, check out our Facebook page. There's our podcast link and our YouTube link that you definitely want to subscribe to if you like what I'm doing. And guys, thank you so much for doing this interview and being around for this 13th album, because that's not easy to do these days. So thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.